Have you ever witnessed a train derailment? I haven't, but I came very close a few years ago. I was commuting to Chicago on Metra, and had just gotten off at my station, Rosemont, when I saw a freight train sitting a few tracks away. There was nothing out of the ordinary about that, but something looked slightly off at my first glance, so I looked again, and noticed this. Yeah, it wasn't my imagination. Those double-stack cars actually are tilted. Fortunately, I needed to go up onto a bridge over the tracks to catch a bus, so I got a much better view of the derailment and was able to make a guess at what had happened. It looks like what happened is the train was backing down the left-hand track into the intermodal loading and unloading facility in Schiller Park, just out of sight. It looks like one of the cars, probably that one with an orange container on top in the distance, the first one that's fully on the next track over, probably picked the switch and started going down that next track over. This caused that diagonal car with a green container to break through the rail, going out onto the left-hand track. You can see the broken rail in this photo from later in the day. And so, as you can see, the switch is now not set for either track. It's kind of in the middle. And so the forward portion of the train keeps trying to go in the approximate direction that the rear of the train is leading it. But with the switch set wrong, it's not really going onto either track. It's just derailing as it goes, until the crew realized something was wrong and stopped the train. That's my best guess, at least, since I never saw a final report on what happened in this incident. When I had arrived in the morning, it looked as if the accident had happened very recently. There had been very little cleanup done. By the time I came back that evening to take the Metro train home, a lot had been cleaned up. Most of the cars had been cleared away, and these two engines came to remove a few others while I was waiting for my train. Like most derailments, this one was not too big of a deal. There was no property damage from around the railroad. None of the train cars fully tipped over, so it's likely that very little, if any, of the cargo on board was damaged. The locomotives stayed on the track, so the crew was undoubtedly uninjured. There was certainly damage to the railroad track, but by the time I was there the next day, it was repaired good as new, and the track repair equipment was already sitting off to the side. I'd also like to take this chance to reassure everyone that even though we're hearing a lot about train derailments in the news lately, their frequency has actually been decreasing for decades. And even with all the ones we're hearing about this year is still on track to have fewer derailments than last year. Most derailments are pretty minor things, like we saw here. Severe ones certainly do happen, and we absolutely should be working to keep them from happening again. But at the same time, they're not something we really need to be worrying about. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy and safe rail fanning.